Dear viewers, welcome to our weekly program, Talk to SATV. Today we have with us as our guest, Mr. N Lye. Hello, Gary. Welcome to SATV.
Thanks, Saiful. It's a real great pleasure to actually be here with you. And I should say, Ami Kopbalo.
What made you come to Bangladesh, and what were you doing prior to coming to Bangladesh?
It's a great question because I think everybody, as they progress through their life, does get to a point where suddenly the planets line up. And for me, I saw an opportunity to come to Bangladesh because there was a project which required or demanded almost every technical and communication skills that I actually had evolved. And on top of that, the project would actually allow me at my stage of life to contribute something to a developing country and to be able to see the people of that country reap the great benefits from that project. So I was in Kalgoorlie in Western Australia, which is a very famous historical gold mining city in Australia. It's Australia's largest regional city. It's got a population of about 35,000. And it's famous because gold was discovered there in 1896 by three Irishmen, actually. But almost overnight, a gold rush happened. And that city grew to be 35,000 almost again overnight. And it's progressed like that ever since. The famous ore body became known as the Golden Mile, and it was mined underground for 100 years. So you can imagine lots of holes. In fact, the underground mines are becoming non-profitable, and they were running into difficulty. But by open pit mining, this remnant ore body, in other words, what was left, starting from the surface, and trying to avoid the holes, was a very good operation for the city. It now produces 840,000 ounces of gold a year. It's Australia's largest. Now multiply that by $1,500 an ounce, and you'll see how good it is. The city relies on this mine for generating jobs and livelihoods for at least a third of its citizens. So my task was, as strategic mine development manager, was to look at the issues that were preventing that mine from keeping going, and to try to open up the future for both the city and the stakeholders of the operation. Unfortunately, a large chunk of this gold resource was under parts of the city. And, I mean, the edge of the city was encroaching because underground mining allowed that. So my task was to buy back community assets, move people, build them new houses, move a major highway, move a railway line, and prepare the way for this to continue. And I was successful at that. And in the latter part of this particular program, people from that company called Asia Energy came to visit me because they were intrigued to see how we were managing this large open pit mine against the community. Exactly. And one thing led to another. Within a few months, they made me a job offer that I couldn't refuse because, as I say, I had almost finished what I was doing. There was nothing much left in terms of that challenge. But I saw the same kind of things being necessary to solve
in Bangladesh.
In Bangladesh, if there was a coal project and if it was feasible to do mining. So that was my task, to come here and first of all look for the coal, prove it's there, and then do the feasibility study with my team.
So what was your impression when you first came to Bangladesh, and has it changed or not in the last 10 years?
It's a really excellent question because as an Australian who thought he'd travelled and seen quite a bit, I arrived on a Singapore Airlines flight in the evening, of course, on St. Valentine's Day, 2004, so almost 10 years ago. And my first impression was, wow, all I saw were faces everywhere, this incredible density of population thing. And I think also at that time there was a pilgrim thing happening. And I think
Totally.
maybe it was actually one of the early Ijtimas, the Biswas Ijtima, but it was an overcrowded airport situation, and it really, was intimidating for a first arrival. And over the next few days, it took me a little while to get used to that. So my impression was the population thing. You get used to that kind of issue fairly quickly. But my real impression was that there was an incredible talent in the people of Bangladesh. They have an excellent work ethic, and I found no difficulty in recruiting good people and excellent groups, professional bodies to do work for us.
Gary, will take a short break, and after we come back, we'll be listening to your present impression about the country.
Okay.
Viewers, we'll be taking a short break and coming back soon. Stay with us. Viewers, welcome back to Talk to SATV. Today we have amongst us Gary Lye, the CEO of Asia Energy. Gary, how do you see Bangladesh now after 10 years of your stay in Bangladesh?
Look, I think things have changed. When I first arrived, one of the big issues that I confronted in my area, which was in the energy sector, was that in fact the perception was the country was floating on gas. And so here we were exploring for coal, and we had a large coal deposit that we discovered of high quality that we did a feasibility study for, and we could see that it was going to be mined quite easily, and it could generate up to 4,000 megawatts of power. But frankly, in 2005, the interest level suddenly in my mind wasn't there. Not as much as it is now. So what's happened is, over the last half a dozen years, the country has become much more aware that it does have a commercial energy problem. It's not the power issue. Power stations can be built, but it's the energy side of things. So I think this is a major change in the mindset of Bangladeshis, from politicians right down through to the rickshaw wallah. They understand
what
that what energy is about. So that debate's been, quite important for the country's evolution. But what I see is you've still got this incredible workforce. And I go to the area where the project is in the northwest, around Phulbari, and I see people wanting jobs. I mean, I'm getting inundated with people wanting jobs. They want development, so it's not really happening.
But you have seen a lot of trouble in the past few years in Phulbari. How do you see the situation now? I think it has cooled down a little bit.
Look, it's not true that we've seen a lot of trouble. What we saw was an event within the election year of 2006. So I will challenge you to sit back and have a look at 2006 in its entirety and tell me, how it all fits in. There was some political motivation, and the local community suffered. And of course, we had finished our feasibility study, so over the next few years, we made a conscious decision to have minimal presence in the field until the last couple of years, when the people were demanding that we should come back and talk to them, because they were keen to see this, or are keen to see this project and the development in their region happen.
How do you see the government's approach to this regard?
The government's approach, look, we started this government's term with very positive feedback coming. There were many statements by lead politicians and bureaucrats, particularly from the politicians, saying that they were wanting to finalise coal policies, and they were wanting to solve the issues to do with open pit mining of Phulbari and so on. The name was mentioned quite routinely. I can't explain why over the next few years things didn't move. I mean, other priorities of government appeared.
Well, was it the controversy about the open pit mining and...
It's possible, but I don't think so. I mean, for instance, the government starts freely talking about open pit mining of Barapakura. I don't think it's an issue, and in any case, if anyone would take the time to look at the studies that were done for our project, and of course they're internationally reviewed, and even the Asian Development Bank has signed off on, for instance, the environment and social impact, etc. this project is a role model for what should happen in terms of developing that particular type of coal deposit for the country. And of course it gives you the quantities of energy, the volume of coal at the rate that makes a difference. It's not a few thousand tonnes in a year, it's 15 million tonnes in a year. And it's not 250 megawatts of power, it can generate up to 4,000 megawatts of power. So this is step, jump, change, opportunity time.
Gary, you are a naturalist. How would you see this environmental issue which has been raised time and again? We are not sure what actually would be.
Yes, very good.
The open pit mining and
yes. We have tried to give examples and even take various groups of journalists, intellectuals, and encouraged various political figures and lead bureaucrats, like positions of energy secretaries and power secretaries, etc., and associated ministers, to visit certain operations in the world. As a miner, what you do when you are designing a new project, you look around the world to see who is doing something like that. And so it's called benchmarking. And in our analysis, we saw that the brown coal operations of Cologne in Germany, they've been going for more than 100 years, operated by RWE, were an almost exact
I think you
copy.
also took a team from Bangladesh to visit them.
Yes, personally I've taken several teams. And you can actually stand there and you can say, look, this is Phulbari, this is the geology, the same sequence, these are the water issues they're managing, and this is how you do it. Here's the resettlement program, new villages, go and talk to people. TV cameras even went and did that. So you actually have a window into what would happen with an open pit mine.
Are you convinced that it's possible?
Absolutely. And the issues, I mean, look, as a naturalist, you're absolutely correct. My geological background makes me more of a naturalist than most people are, because I understand wherever I'm walking, wherever I'm sitting, I know what's under my feet. I think about nature all the time. So one of the things that I bring into this project is an acute awareness of what the environmental impacts are, and certainly what the social impacts are. And so you put management plans and commitments in place, and you involve international scrutiny, and you put the best practice in that plan to look after the people, the environment, etc.
Gary, we'll take a short break and come back again.
Okay.
Viewers, you're watching Talk to SATV. Today we have with us CEO of Asia Energy, Gary Lye. We'll be back. Stay with us.
এখন থেকে বাংলাদেশি আইডল দেখুন প্রতি শুক্র ও মঙ্গলবার।
Viewers, welcome back to Talk to SATV. We are talking with CEO of Asia Energy, Gary Lye. Gary, how much do you think will Bangladesh or the people of Phulbari or the people of the country will benefit from a project like Phulbari coal mine?
So, Saiful, I think that the crucial issue here is that coal is a means to an end. It's not about the coal mine, it's about what you do with the coal. So the biggest overarching benefit for the country and for the local people is for that coal to be consumed in large-scale power generation. Electricity is the key to industrial development and the key to providing large numbers of new jobs. So that's the overarching situation. Now, it translates into new industries with the grid situation nationally, but for the local population, there's at least 20,000 jobs that will be created out of the mine development. And once you start putting power into the system as well, because they'll have rock-solid power in that area, there'll be industrial parks in the local scene as well, so new job opportunities.
What about those who will be losing their
yes.
agricultural fields?
Yes, we've done surveys through the area, and interesting enough, of the families that are affected, we found about a quarter of these families that are on the land want to stay on the land and farm. Another quarter want to actually move to the city or the town and do business and so on. So there's not the same split you like. But what we've got in place, and we've studied this intensely because we do not want to have the impacts of our operation be seen as taking away the agricultural production from the area. We've put in place plans to actually increase it. And we do that by better inputs for the farmers, a structured marketing strategy which feeds back to what they should be growing, the freely available irrigation water that comes from the project, and an overall working closely with the farmers to improve this. And we've just recently completed a program of workshops with farmers to reinforce what the farmers' needs are in our plans.
You have a positive vibe from the people over there?
We do. Look, you're not going to have 100%, there's going to be people that naturally oppose, people that are questioning, not sure. But we have now got a majority of people that actually want to see development and want to see the project move forward. The other benefits I want to mention too is that those that are affected, because open pit mining is not an instantaneous thing, it's kind of like a slow ship. The groups that are actually resettled are in phases. And so you're dealing with smaller groups of people and you're working with them and settling them in. Exactly. So it's piece by piece. And people get a chance to see what's happening, monitoring of what's going on and so on. It's not difficult to manage the social side of things. But the other benefits, of course, are education facilities and better infrastructure and so on.
Gary, that was too much of your professional side. Let's see. What do you like best in Bangladesh? And how would you compare it with your Australian lifestyle?
Look, my background, of course, and you said to me naturalist, and I think you've called me an adventurer. I think that growing up in Australia has been wonderful. I mean, I've had great parents and a great brother, and we were an outdoor family. And we grew up in that part of Australia, Brisbane, the Gold Coast, where the natural beauty, the beaches, the bushwalking opportunities, the estuaries, almost a bit like the Sundarbans. We had that sort of environment as well. So we did it all. But at a young age, I took up surfing, and that's a real frontier thing. I was 16 years old, coming out of high school, started university at 16, so into the surfing thing, and that's pitting yourself against nature. And
you grew up in a beach. How do you see the Cox's Bazar beach in Bangladesh?
Look, it's good. It's good, but I think that you always favour the beach that you have as your home beach, and so I think that Bangladesh has assets, great assets, obviously needing to be developed more. But I think for Bangladesh, from my feeling, I think that the mighty rivers and the Bay of Bengal and the richness of both river and sea fish and associated prawns, lobsters, etc. I think that is a great asset that Bangladesh have.
I came to know that your wife is an artist. Yes. How much potential she gets for her artwork in Bangladesh?
Look, she hasn't really realised her full potential here, but in our past positions, in fact, she's got a couple of public sculptures, full bronze sculptures in Australia, and she also was a university lecturer in jewellery production and art in general. And in fact, at the moment, she's in Germany attending a sculpture workshop. So she's used her time here to work. She's had an exhibition one occasion here. And interesting enough, in my early life, I met my wife in the wilds of Papua New Guinea. So, she also was an adventurer. But I love supporting her in her endeavours, and I've got involved. In fact, I've done some of her courses. I learned how to make jewellery, okay. And I support her in doing picture frames and all of the sort of hard stuff that goes with doing sculptures.
Thank you, viewers. Today we had a guest, Gary Lye from Asia Energy. We talked with him about the energy crisis in Bangladesh and how much he loves Bangladesh. Thank you. Till next week, stay with SATV.